On opening the sutra. Okay, good afternoon. Sort of nice to wait for all of the bees to come to the flower. I'm also reminded of that saying, flowers fall with our inequities. And right now I'm feeling leaves fall with our sesshin. Seems like it's going by in the time that it takes a leaf to fall so quickly. We've all lived lifetimes. I certainly have this session. Oh, and thank God, right? All right. So we're still on chapter 7 of Vimalakirti. And this is the goddess chapter. Let's see here. Right, okay. So Manjushri is asking, how do we do this thing? And Vimalakirti says something like, well, you should apply yourself appropriately. And just like us, Manjushri says, well, how do I apply myself appropriately? And Vimalakirti responds, apply yourself to productionlessness and destructionlessness. Oh, gee, that helps a lot. But it does, actually, right? So it's interesting, he refers to it both as apply yourself to the absolute, go to the place where there is no destruction and when there's no production. And then he does this really interesting turn. He takes it and he looks at it from the perspective of the relative. So both sides are operating. Manjushri says, what is not produced? What is not destroyed? And Vimalakirti says, evil is not produced. Good is not destroyed. So, in the question of how to liberate all living beings, baseline practice, do no harm. Do not destroy the virtue that is already existing and increase the virtue that hasn't yet come into the world. This do no harm business, I don't know about you, but sometimes I just feel like this sort of like slightly out of control puppy. The truth is, I desperately want to be in control. And the harm just happens, right? I don't want it to happen. I'm trying my best to not make it happen. And there it is, right? I could, I made a mistake in the Dokusan room, and I am still carrying that girl across the river as we speak. It actually, as I'm working with it and thinking about it, like, oh my gosh, that was such a core thing for me. When I first started practicing, I was so profoundly, and I mean profoundly, ashamed that I was not enlightened. I mean, it was a deep, deep, deep wound for me. Now, I'm not saying I am today, but I'm just saying the wound was really, really, really deep. And I think I literally cried in the Zendo for like 10 years because I was so ashamed. How could I be doing so much harm? How could I be getting it so wrong? And it was just really interesting to encounter it in this retreat and notice the degree to which that intensity has really diminished quite a bit, right? By a lot. But at the same time, that shame was my friend. And it was also, what kept me going. I don't think I really realized it at the time, but there was so much energy there and so much desire to not be ashamed. And I have to bow to that, right? So when we're feeling our shadows dancing around in our practice, and it's really hard to face those shadows, we really have to appreciate that they're holding energy for us, and they're holding motivation for us, and they're holding our potential and our capacity. Even with just making this mistake in the Dokusan room, feeling the shame of that, and also feeling like, in sesshin, it's like everybody's dharma eye is like, right? Everybody's like on fire, connecting with everybody else, right? And we're all seeing each other's like shadows and light sides and everything, and it takes a lot of bravery, actually, to be doing sesshin. And imagine if we were actually talking to each other, how it would be, right? This is just being in the room together. I think there's something about the maturity of practice is measured by being able to tolerate that level of nakedness and that level of vulnerability and that level of like just having your face rubbed in your mistakes and still carrying on. Keep it going, right? And just really appreciate how when we've made a mistake and how that just really like whittles away at the samsaric ego that wants to be perfect and get it right. And this sort of deep humility arises. And if we want to lean into the bodhisattvic way of life with its love and compassion, it definitely starts with that humility, right? We're all in this boat together, and we're all kind of swaying along in the boat. It's very interesting. There's something about the albatross that just keeps on arising. It really does. And, Kensei brought it up again in her talk. And then I was listening to a talk by John Tarrant, and he is quoting the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Have you all read that poem? Yeah, it's an oldie but goodie, like 1700s kind of oldie. And in this poem, the albatross has been helping this sort of lost ship to navigate. And the folks on board are really kind of see it as like a good omen. And then for reasons unexplained, the captain kills the albatross. And the whole poem unfolds after that killing, how this ship's captain redeems himself in all of the trials and tribulations that he goes on along this pilgrimage to redemption. And If we can think of the albatross like sort of sailing along, right? No obstructions. We can just ride our albatross, right? And we kill it. And we don't even know how are we killing that. How are we killing that ride? And despite our best efforts, we don't want to kill it, but still we kill it, right? Still harm arises. And there's something about this poem, and I hope that all of you actually get interested in it and go read it. Because it's actually the process of repentance that brings this captain into knowing how to bless the creatures, the sea creatures, and himself. So we're all on this ship of, we've all kind of not quite trusting our albatross. And we're here to regain that trust. Regain that trust in the way. Regain that trust in our Buddha nature. And of course, that famous line about him having the albatross around his neck. We all know about the albatross around his neck, around your neck. I've got an albatross around my neck, right? The deep guilt and shame comes from that poem. So I have been using the guilt and the shame to go deeper in practice and to appreciate this human condition. So, Manjusha says, well, what is not produced and what is not destroyed? Evil is not produced. Good is not destroyed. Then Manjushri says, well, what is the root of virtue and non-virtue? Wholesomeness and unwholesomeness. That which puts us in the way of awakening and that which obstructs our awakening. Materiality is the root of good and evil. Materiality is the root of virtue and non-virtue. And it's very interesting that he says it's the root of good, right? So this samsaric ego that he's referring to, so I should talk, let's unpack it a little bit. So the materiality that he is speaking to is the samsaric ego, right? So we've got this capacity and this capability of being virtuous. We've also got the capacity and the capability of being non-virtuous. That's really important. That's actually really important to get. Each one of us in our sitting practice, the awareness that we're bringing over and over and over again to what is arising in our minds, we should know, is this virtuous thought or non-virtuous thought? That's where we're entering at the level of the relative, okay? You better know that before you let it go, right? It's very important to know, where is my karmic mind stream laying down track? Am I laying it down mostly virtuously or non-virtuously before I let it go? Yeah, that's really interesting stuff. How is my own mind stream obstructing my practice? Then, of course, it's very obvious to see how the mind stream can create harm, negativity. That's very obvious. And in Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism by Trungpa, which is another great book, I hope that you get to look at that, he spends a lot of time getting us to look at how the samsaric ego uses our zazen, uses our spiritual practice as a way to strengthen itself. Ooh. Ouch. Right? A big ouch. You're putting in all this time to do all this cool bodhisattvic work and really like all in, all committed. And meanwhile, your samsaric ego is sabotaging you all along the way, and you've gotten nowhere. Well, actually, fortunately for us, we do have these koans that kick our ass, right? I mean, seriously, and we are very, very fortunate to have these liberative arts of koan practice to really shine a light on how the samsaric ego is using practice to buff itself up. Because we will be found out, right? This is a total eyes-on experience. The Dharma eye is wide open. The eye of the Dharma is like the eye of Saruman. Okay. Oh dear, people are yawning. I hope this isn't... Okay. Humility is, I'm all about it. And sort of, we can also use our practice to collect spiritual experience, right? But again, it's so great because you think, yeah, I got it. I really saw something. I've got to bring this into Dokusan. This is amazing. I have really seen it. Right? And you bring it in. It's like, right? So there's no way you can hang on to collecting anything. And the other thing that he asks us to look out for is that we can use our zazen to make ourselves more powerful in a samsaric kind of way. And also just to make ourselves more calm, right? So you can see that in the power, make ourselves more powerful, make ourselves more calm. We are like way, way, way far away from the Bodhisattva vow, right? For the sake of all beings, I'm sitting here, right? Not because of what I'm trying to get here. For the sake of all beings, I'm sitting here. to bring all beings to full and complete Buddhahood. That's why I'm here. And truly, 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 this cuts through the samsaric ego, if you actually mean it. If you're not just going blah, 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 because we say it all the time, blah, 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 right? So, don't get lulled. And then as soon as you say that, with that motivation, then you yourself have to Buddha up, right? And this is correct. We Buddha up for the sake of others, to bring others to full and complete Buddhahood. Now, I don't know about you, but this particular kind of turn of the heart is so radical and, to me, so ultimately luxurious. It's like a really nice designer bag. No, it really is. It gives me the same feels. And the same, like it never feels bad, Like when you have a really good bag and you touch it, it's like, oh, this is a nice bag. Of course, the bag can be ripped to shreds and it can be lost and it can, whatever. But the Bodhisattva vow doesn't do that. It's indestructible. So, which is why it's more luxurious and more couture than the bag. Which is why... What? Okay. Well, yeah. You're making me go all red now. Okay. Okay. So instead of being using our practice for our ego to boost up our ego, he's saying, here's what, when you're feeling these kind of things, you're good. You're going in the right direction. And the first one is surrender. Oh, so interesting to actually surrender to what's happening, right? Never mind the schedule and all of the turning this and turning that, and just totally to me, surrender is bowing down, right? It's, okay, I have no choice. I've got to bow down to this moment, right? But as soon as you feel that and you hear that, there's this sort of kind of purity and clarity and kind of that energy of the albatross just gliding meets you when you actually surrender to the moment. And we all know that. We all feel that when we're sitting. The other one is humility. And humility in the face of mistakes, in the face of timidity, in the face of shame, in the face of not meeting the moment. If there's a sense of humor, right? You're kind of in the right zone. There's a certain lightness, holding it all lightly, not taking it all so dreadfully, fixedly, concretely, certainly, without a doubt, seriously, right? The other one is awareness. So we've been doing a lot of practices with folks around awareness, right? Awareness of eye consciousness, awareness of ear consciousness, awareness of feeling, really bringing the senses into the project of awakening in a really deep way. Because you can only go through what is here. You can only awaken in the mud that we are, in the body that we are, in the experience that we're having. There is no other way to do it. Okay? Please hear that. And then the other one is ordinariness, right? So, I mean, weirdly, sesshin is like both like extraordinary, because it's kind of like this Baroque dance, as David used to call it, that we all agree to. But at the same time, it's like wildly ordinary, right? We're sitting down, we're getting up, we're taking a walk, we're following the instructions impeccably. Yes, trying. We're having a meal, cleaning up, cooking, this very ordinary activity of cooking. And we want to hear more about your life as a Tenzo. And finally, resting, ordinary resting, and sleeping. So here we are. Now we've unpacked materiality. And Manjushri is such a good student, right? Now remember, I've said this before, Manjushri is the bodhisattva of wisdom, right? So he is a big mother bodhisattva, like a Maha bodhisattva, right? And Manjushri is taking teachings and instruction from Vimalakirti, who is a layperson. Vimalakirti is that awakened, that matured. He's considered to be a Buddha. And how easy it seems that Manjushri trades places, right? Mostly he's a badass bodhisattva of wisdom. And then here, he's a student. Switches just effortlessly. And I think, honestly, if there's a signature to our temple, it is that capacity for all of us to, 1 minute we're kind of in the leadership, and then the next minute we're the student taking instruction. And we keep on switching places all the time. And this is so amazingly good for our practice. And we are so, so lucky to be able to continually switch back and forth. Please don't take that for granted. And if you're feeling a little bitchy about it when you're in the in a position you don't like, just like that's a moment to really bow down. Okay, so Manjushri being a good student. So what is the root of materiality? So what is the root of the samsaric ego? And we could pretty much answer that question for Manjushri because we say it all the time, right? This is kind of Buddhism 101. And Vimalakirti says, Desire is the root of materiality. Desire is the root of the samsaric ego. So desire, well, let's just see what he says about that before we go into it. What is the root of desire and attachment? Then this is the mic drop moment here, the answer to this question. Vimalakirti says, unreal construction is the root of desire. Unreal construction. We started out this session asking the question on Thursday night, what is the truth before the narration, before the story that we give? So the story that we give is the unreal construction, right? The story, we have to really, oh God, over and over and over again, just appreciate how we're riding the albatross, right? And the story, sometimes we forget we're riding the albatross, right? And of course, when we're sitting here in sesshin, that's kind of why we do it, so that we get to see, like in Technicolor, what is the unreal construction happening right now? Right? Oh my God. Look at that. How creative can this mind be? This is so interesting, right? And meanwhile, the albatross just keeps gliding, keeps gliding. That construction is not separate from the albatross. So, Manjushri's digging in now. What's the root of the unreal construction? So what is the root of all of this narration that's happening in my mind when I'm sitting? Actually, that's a really good question. What is the root? By George, where do these thoughts come from? What is going on here? Right? Do you ever think about that? Where do these thoughts come from? Vimalakirti has an answer for you. Ready? The false concept is its root. False idea. So something's happening in there that's not true. Right? What is the thing that's happening in there that's not actually true? This is our investigation. This is actually Mu. This is the investigation of Mu. You see that? For those who are in the process of that, oh yeah, oh yeah. And we can get tripped up and caught. We can make a total rookie mistake, even as a Roshi, right? That false concept has the potential for arising at any time. But here's the good news. This is where he pulls it right up, and we're back so obviously riding the albatross, right? What is the root of the false concept? Right? So it's kind of cool. This is very Socratic, isn't it? You know, you just keep digging in and digging in and digging in, and let it be alive for you, right? This is our life. This is actually how our mind is working. This is how our heart is showing up in the world. This is, not just philosophical cocktail party or something. I don't know how else to say that. Cocktail banter. So, what is the root of this false concept? What is the root of this ignorance? We have the answer. Can you guess? Separate self, okay. So he gives a positive answer. The root of the false concept, and may you never forget this, you will always practice this and always be clear about this. Baselessness, AKA emptiness, groundlessness. We're all riding the albatross, unobstructedly gliding and guiding until we kill it with our false concept and our unreal constructions. Then he goes even further. The Manjushri, you got to give it up for him. He is really he's going there. He's really engaged, right? He's a good model of practice. So, Manjushri asks, well, so what's the root of baselessness, right? What's the root of emptiness? Whoa, what is the source of this emptiness, right? Vimalakirti, Manjushri, you silly student. When something is baseless, how could it have any root? Therefore, all things stand on the root which is baseless. Ta-da! So, yeah, that's what we're doing, right? And it is really joyful, actually. You just have to be that lotus in the fire of when the negative karma and the desire and the attachment and the not getting it right and the fixed samsaric self is so certain and gets its ass kicked. You have to be willing to just stay in the fire of that so that you can awaken and realize and actualize and move as this baselessness, and let the albatross carry you. Don't kill the albatross. And then when people see you and you're riding this albatross, it's like, oh my God, a life of, you can't even say what that life is, but it's a lot better than the one I have right now. Famously, I know I'm making a mistake, but I'm not sure what the right answer is, right? That one. You're sharing that energy signature and that possibility with everyone you meet. And this is the fulfillment of our Bodhisattva vow. May it be so. Dedicate the merit of this time together to all those who wish to enter into the Bodhisattva path, who are having trouble connecting, finding community, finding teachers, finding leisure to be able to do the work. May they find what they need. May all beings come to full and complete Buddhahood. We will take them there, everyone without exception. May it be so.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to